Welcome to Nora Cross Life. I lost a dare but found my real identity. The afternoon sun poured through the half-open blinds, painting golden stripes across my bedroom floor. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the folded clothes on my chair as if they were a map to some secret world I wasn't yet brave enough to enter. My name is Alex, and for most of my life, I've lived a dual existence. Outwardly, I'm just another guy, studious, quiet, and a bit socially awkward. But behind closed doors, I've harbored a fascination that I've barely allowed myself to acknowledge. Crowd-dressing. It wasn't something I had actively sought. Not at first. It started innocently enough, experimenting with fabrics and colors when I was younger, borrowing my sister's old dresses or her makeup just to see how they felt against my skin. At first, it was curiosity, a private rebellion. But over time, it became something more. A way to explore a part of myself that I hadn't even been sure existed. I didn't know if it was passion, identity, or simply escape. I just knew that when I dressed up, I felt complete. But life had its own way of complicating things. My girlfriend, Mia, was beautiful, charming, and completely unaware of my secret. Our relationship was playful and intimate, but I always carried a quiet fear that the wrong glance, the wrong question could expose me. Mia loved dares. She thrived on pushing boundaries, teasing me, and challenging me to confront my own hesitations. And it was on a lazy Saturday afternoon while lounging in her living room that the spark for the dare ignited. "You'll never do it," she teased, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee mug. Her eyes gleamed with mischief. "I dare you to put on a dress right now and wear it in front of me." My heart skipped a beat. A part of me wanted to laugh it off, to say it was ridiculous. Another part of me, the part that had secretly longed for moments like this, hesitated, curious, and terrified in equal measure. Mia's laughter rang in my ears, playful but daring, a challenge that was impossible to ignore. I glanced down at the chair where my clothes were neatly stacked. There, lying among shirts and jeans, was a dress I had borrowed months ago. Soft, pastel, delicate. It had been waiting, silent and patient, for this very moment. My hands trembled as I reached for it. Each fold of fabric felt like touching a forbidden promise. As I pulled it over my head, I felt a strange, thrilling sensation. The fabric clung differently than anything I'd worn before. My body felt foreign yet familiar at the same time, and for a moment, I didn't recognize myself in the mirror across the room. My reflection stared back, wide-eyed, lips slightly parted. I was both me and someone else. Someone softer, lighter, freer. Mia's laughter filled the room again. "Wow, I didn't think you'd actually do it," she said, her eyes sparkling. "You look amazing." Her words sent a shiver down my spine. Not from embarrassment, not entirely, but from a strange, intoxicating sense of validation. She wasn't mocking me. She wasn't judging. She was appreciating me. And for the first time, a tiny rebellious part of me whispered that maybe, just maybe, this was who I was meant to be. Yet the fear lingered. What if someone saw me like this? What if Mia's teasing went too far, or someone else discovered my secret? The walls of my room seemed to close in, a mix of warmth and threat. The thrill of being exposed, of standing in my vulnerability, was dizzying. I could feel my pulse in my ears, the rapid rise of adrenaline, and a curious sense of exhilaration. I moved cautiously, testing the sensation of heels beneath my feet, the smoothness of stockings against my skin. Each step felt like a statement, a secret declaration of identity that I hadn't been brave enough to voice aloud. My hands trembled slightly as I adjusted the dress, smoothing out the wrinkles, feeling the gentle sway of the fabric around my legs. Mia clapped her hands softly, a warm encouragement. "You're beautiful, Alex," she said. Her tone wasn't condescending. It was honest, full of admiration. "See, you don't have to hide this." Her words struck a chord deep within me. For years, I had hidden this part of myself, fearing judgment, ridicule, or worse, rejection. But here she was, embracing it with a casual, effortless grace that made my heart ache with gratitude. And in that moment, I realized that the dare wasn't just about a dress. It was a doorway, a gateway into a version of myself that I had been too afraid to claim. The room seemed to shrink around us, the sunlight spilling through the blinds, casting shadows that danced across the floor. I felt a strange mixture of fear and liberation. Fear of exposure, but liberation in authenticity. Mia's hand brushed mine, a gentle anchor grounding me in the moment. "I know it feels weird," she said softly, "but it doesn't have to. You can be whoever you want to be with me." And that was the moment when the first seed of clarity took root in my mind. This wasn't just a dare. It was an invitation, an opportunity to explore, to embrace, to step into a truth I had long denied. My reflection in the mirror no longer felt like a stranger. It felt like me. Not the version I showed the world, but the version I had been hiding. Fragile, vibrant, and undeniably real. As the afternoon faded into evening, the first chapter of my transformation had begun. The dare had been lost, but in losing it, I had found something infinitely more valuable. The courage to face the part of myself that I had long buried, the part that longed to be seen, to be known, and to be loved for who I truly was. And that, as I would soon discover, was only the beginning. The evening shadows grew longer as Mia left the room for a moment to grab a snack from the kitchen. The house was quiet, and suddenly the thrill of being alone in this new delicate persona became almost overwhelming. I stood in front of the mirror, my reflection staring back at me with wide eyes, soft lips, and a body wrapped in fabric that seemed almost foreign. Every line of the dress, every brush of makeup across my face, whispered a secret I hadn't allowed myself to feel before. The first thing I noticed was how my movements had changed. Walking in heels wasn't just about balance. It was about presence. Each step felt weighty yet elegant, a dance between caution and confidence. The dress swayed around my thighs, teasing me with sensations I had never experienced in my own skin. My hands moved instinctively, smoothing the fabric, adjusting the hem, twisting my fingers in the soft material. A shiver ran down my spine. I felt exposed, vulnerable, alive. But with the thrill came fear. What if Mia came back too early? What if a friend stopped by unexpectedly? My heart pounded in my chest at the thought of someone discovering me like this. My secret self, fragile and unprotected. Yet a stronger, almost rebellious part of me whispered to stay, to feel, to experience every inch of this transformation without shame. I took a deep breath and began to explore further. Makeup had always fascinated me, an art that could transform not just appearances, but emotions. I picked up a soft brush and dabbed a little foundation across my skin. The texture was different on my face than I had imagined. Smooth, cool, almost comforting. Then came the eyeliner. A bold line traced my eyelids, framing my eyes in a way that made them seem larger, brighter, alive. My pulse raced. This was more than a game. It was an awakening. Next, the lipstick. I applied it slowly, savoring the sensation as the color kissed my lips. The mirror reflected someone I barely recognized, yet someone who felt true in ways I had been denying for years. I smiled tentatively, and the reflection smiled back, coaxing me further into this new identity. I could almost hear the whisper. "This is who you are, Alex. This is the side of you waiting to be seen." The sound of footsteps outside made me freeze. Mia must have returned. I held my breath, heart hammering. My instincts screamed to change back, to shed the dress, to vanish into the safety of the ordinary Alex everyone knew. But curiosity and something deeper, something like desire, kept me rooted to the spot. Mia appeared in the doorway, a smirk on her face. "Still experimenting?" she asked playfully, her eyes scanning me up and down. She didn't sound judgmental. She sounded intrigued. "Yes," I whispered, my voice softer, unsure, yet trembling with a new confidence. She stepped closer, circling me like a connoisseur examining a masterpiece. "You look incredible," she said, her words warm, admiring. "I didn't think you had it in you, but seeing you like this, I like it." Her approval hit me like a wave. simultaneously exhilarating and terrifying. For years, I had feared judgment, rejection, ridicule. But here she was, embracing me without hesitation. My body trembled as I realized the weight of her gaze. This was validation, yes, but also an invitation to explore further, to push boundaries I hadn't dared touch before. The night unfolded slowly. I experimented with different outfits, each more daring than the last. Lace, silk, satin. The textures were intoxicating. Shoes with higher heels, stockings that hugged my legs, skirts that swayed perfectly with each step. Every item was a new layer of identity, a revelation of self. Each time I looked in the mirror, I felt a stronger connection with the reflection staring back. And yet, the fear never fully disappeared. Every creak in the floorboards, every distant sound of a car outside sent my pulse racing. I knew I was balancing on the edge. One unexpected visitor could shatter the secret world I had carefully crafted, but the danger only heightened the thrill. The vulnerability made every sensation sharper, more intense. I moved toward the mirror, examining myself in detail. My hair had been curled into gentle waves. A wig carefully styled to frame my face perfectly. The dress fit snugly, accentuating curves I had never imagined myself possessing. I twirled slowly, feeling the fabric lift and fall. The movement almost hypnotic. The person in the mirror wasn't just Alex anymore. It was someone new, someone liberated. Then came the most personal test of all, my voice. Speaking softly, testing the pitch, the timbre. I tried to match the persona I now inhabited. The sound was alien at first, awkward, but gradually it began to feel natural. It felt right. My voice was part of this new identity, an extension of the person I had long kept hidden. I whispered Mia's name, and the sound filled the room like a secret only we could share. Hours passed like minutes. The house was silent except for our occasional laughter and teasing. Mia encouraged me, gently pushing me to explore further, to test limits I had feared. Each suggestion was a challenge, each suggestion a dare. Yet, every step was a revelation. I discovered the joy of curves, the thrill of high heels, the intimacy of makeup applied with care. I discovered a part of myself that was no longer afraid to be seen, even if only by one person. And then the unexpected happened. A knock at the door. My heart leapt into my throat. Who could it be at this hour? My first instinct was panic, but Mia's hand on my arm steadied me. "It's probably just a neighbor," she whispered, her voice calm, but teasing. The knock came again, harder this time. I froze. The doorbell rang. My mind raced. I could hide, change back, pretend nothing was happening. I could face it. Could I maintain this persona under scrutiny? Could I hold the secret without crumbling? With trembling hands, I smoothed my dress, checked my makeup, adjusted my wig. The reflection staring back at me was no longer hesitant. It was defiant, ready to face whatever challenge awaited. I swallowed my fear, took a deep breath, and walked toward the door, heels clicking against the floor. Every step was a statement. I was no longer hiding. I was no longer just Alex. I was stepping fully into the part of myself I had long denied. The door opened slowly, and a familiar face, someone from my past, someone who could change everything, stood there. The suspense was unbearable. I could feel the weight of the moment, the fragile line between exposure and safety, between shame and revelation. And in that instant, I knew my life had shifted irreversibly. The dare had begun as a game, but it had become a journey into self-discovery, into fear and thrill, into identity and liberation, and there was no turning back. The knock at the door had set my heart racing like never before. I could feel every muscle in my body tense, every nerve screaming caution. Mia's hand on my arm was warm, steadying me, but the weight of the moment pressed down heavily. My reflection in the hallway mirror, wavy hair perfectly in place, dress clinging in all the right curves, makeup flawless, looked back at me, daring me to face what was coming. I took a trembling step forward. Then another. The visitor didn't move. Whoever it was had paused, as if sensing the gravity of what lay beyond the threshold. I swallowed hard. Every instinct screamed to flee, to hide behind the safety of my old identity. But the person in the mirror, the one Mia had helped awaken, would not allow it. When the door creaked open, my breath caught. It was Mark, my childhood friend, the one person who had seen me at my most vulnerable and judged me with gentle honesty. His eyes widened, scanning me from head to toe, taking in the dress, the heels, the soft waves of hair, the bold lips. I could feel my heart hammering, every beat loud in the silence. You look different," he said, a mix of surprise and curiosity in his voice. "Alex, is that really you?" "Yes," I whispered, voice barely above a tremble, yet stronger than I thought possible. "It's me." Mark stepped closer, his gaze unwavering. "Wow, you look incredible. I didn't know you could." His words trailed off the awe clear in his eyes. Relief washed over me, but only for a moment. The thrill of being admired clashed violently with the fear of exposure. What if someone else walked in? What if someone judged me harshly? The tension was suffocating, every second stretching like an eternity. Mia, sensing my hesitation, smiled reassuringly. "See, he's just like me. He appreciates it. Don't be scared." Her voice was calm, yet teasing, as if to remind me that fear and thrill were inseparable here. I nodded, though my hands trembled. Slowly, I began to move, twirling slightly to show off the dress, testing the reactions of my friend. Mark's eyes followed every motion, admiration clear. His smile was infectious, lifting some of the fear that had paralyzed me. You really pulled this off," he said, voice low. "I mean, I've seen you before, Alex. But this is different. Powerful." The word struck me like lightning. Powerful. It wasn't just about the dress, the makeup, the persona. It was about me, about identity, about embracing something I had feared for years. I felt an unfamiliar warmth rise in my chest. Pride, confidence, liberation, and with it came a dangerous thrill. The kind that makes your pulse race, your heart hammer, your mind teeter on the edge of fear and excitement. Suddenly, the sound of another knock shattered the moment. Louder this time, insistent. I froze. Mia's eyes met mine. A mix of warning and playful mischief. "Looks like the challenge isn't over yet," she whispered. I realized with a jolt that the house wasn't safe anymore. The suspense had escalated. Every creak of the floor, every shadow in the room became a potential threat. My mind raced, calculating options, weighing risk against exhilaration. Could I maintain this persona under scrutiny? Could I survive exposure without collapsing into panic? Taking a deep breath, I decided to face it. If I was going to live this reality even for a moment, I had to commit fully. I smoothed the dress, adjusted the wig, and lifted my chin. The person in the mirror, the real me, was ready. The door opened again. This time it was someone unexpected. My cousin Jenna. She had always been sharp, fearless, and prone to mischief. Her eyes lit up as she took in the scene. "Oh my God, Alex, is that really you?" she gasped. "Yes," I said, my voice trembling yet strong. "It's me. And yes, I lost the dare. But I think I found something else." Jenna laughed softly, circling me like a predator admiring its prey. "Wow, I didn't know you could pull this off. You look amazing. I mean, really amazing." Her praise hit me differently than Mark's. There was a hint of challenge in her eyes, a subtle dare in her tone. I felt my heartbeat quicken. Every movement now was a statement, a declaration of who I was. And yet the suspense was unbearable. Jenna stepped closer, examining the dress, the makeup, the entire transformation. She reached out, lightly brushing a curl from my face. The contact sent shivers down my spine. Intense, electrifying, exposing my vulnerability entirely. "You're not going back, are you?" she asked softly, voice low, teasing. I hesitated, caught between fear and exhilaration. "No, I don't think I can," I admitted, almost whispering. The words felt like a confession, a release, a surrender. Then the real challenge hit. A loud knock echoed from the front door, insistent, demanding. Another guest, a neighbor, someone who could shatter this fragile world I had built. My pulse jumped. Mia's grip on my hand tightened, a silent reminder to stay composed. "Go see who it is," she said, a glint of mischief in her eyes. "If you can handle this, you can handle anything." I walked toward the door, heels clicking sharply against the floor. Every step amplified the suspense, each second stretching into infinity. I opened the door slowly, and standing there was my boss, unexpected, professional, and terrifyingly observant. His eyes widened slightly, then narrowed, scanning me from head to toe. "Alex?" he asked cautiously. "Yes," I said, holding the gaze, refusing to shrink. "It's me, and yes, I'm different." The tension in the room was electric. My heart raced, palms slick with sweat. Yet, the thrill coursing through me was undeniable. This was the moment of truth. Exposure versus revelation. Fear versus exhilaration. I could feel the transformation reaching its peak. Every emotion magnified, every sensation heightened. Suddenly, disaster, or perhaps destiny, struck. A misstep, a heel slipping on the polished floor, and I nearly fell. The dress twisted. The wig shifted. Panic surged, but Mia and Jenna caught me instantly, steadying me with firm hands. Laughter bubbled up from me, nervous and exhilarated, a sound I had never made before. The near miss was terrifying and liberating. Mark, Jenna, and Mia all stared at me, reactions a mix of shock, admiration, and amusement. I realized in that instant that I was no longer just Alex hiding behind a dare. I was someone fully alive, someone embracing identity, desire, and vulnerability in a way I had never dared before. The climax of a night, the suspense, the close calls, the exposure had revealed something deeper. This was not just a game. This was a revelation, a turning point. My heart pounded, my pulse raced, and a smile broke across my face. I had faced the ultimate challenge. And while danger had been real, so had exhilaration, liberation, and self-discovery. And just as I began to relax, another knock came. A final sharp sound, cutting through the tension like a knife. My eyes met Mia's wide and knowing, she smirked. "Ready for one more surprise?" I swallowed hard, breath catching in my throat. The night wasn't over. The suspense wasn't resolved. But for the first time, I knew one thing with certainty. I could face it. I could survive it. I could thrive. And the real adventure was just beginning. The final knock echoed through the house, sharp and insistent. My chest heaved. Every muscle in my body coiled with anticipation. Mia's eyes met mine, sparkling with mischief, challenge, and something I couldn't quite name. Jenna's smirk suggested she knew exactly what was about to unfold. Even Mark, usually calm and reassuring, seemed tense, aware that this was the ultimate test. I took a slow, steadying breath, smoothing the dress one last time. Every fiber of the fabric clung perfectly. The makeup held firm. The wig sat like it had been made for me. But nothing could erase the knot of fear in my stomach. "Are you ready?" Mia whispered, her fingers brushing mine in a grounding touch. I nodded, though my heart was hammering in my chest. "As ready as I'll ever be," I murmured, my voice trembling but firm. I reached for the door handle, fingers slick with nervous sweat, and slowly swung it open. Standing there was someone I had never expected. My eyes widened in disbelief, heart skipping a beat, every nerve light with panic and exhilaration. It was my neighbor, Mrs. Donnelly, the woman who had always been curious, sharp-eyed, and a little nosy. She paused mid-step, eyes scanning me from head to toe, taking in the dress, the heels, the makeup, the confidence I had barely felt moments before. "Alex, is that really you?" she asked cautiously, voice tinged with surprise and concern. "Yes," I said, swallowing hard, my voice a mix of fear and defiance. "It's me, and yes, I'm different." Her eyes narrowed slightly, scrutinizing me in a way that felt like a mirror reflecting every insecurity I had ever had. My pulse raced. Could she figure me out? Could she guess the truth of what had begun as a dare and had now become something much deeper? Before I could answer, Jenna stepped forward, playful and daring. Relax, Mrs. Donnelly. You're seeing Alex for who they really are. Isn't it amazing? Mrs. Donnie's gaze flicked between us, unsure whether to be scandalized or impressed. My heart pounded like a drum. This was it, the moment of ultimate exposure, the risk I had both feared and craved. Mark's hand found mine, squeezing gently, grounding me in the reality that I wasn't facing this alone. Mia's reassuring smile told me the same, and Jenna, ever fearless, gave me a teasing wink that somehow steeled my courage. I straightened, lifting my chin, embracing the persona that had taken hold of me over the night. Yes, it's me, and I'm not hiding anymore. My voice rang with a newfound strength, a defiance against years of fear and doubt. Mrs. Donnelly tilted her head, studying me with a mixture of curiosity and something else, something I couldn't quite read. Her lips curved into a faint smile. Well, I must say, Alex, you look remarkably confident. I wasn't expecting this, but you seem happy. Happiness? The word struck me with an intensity one hadn't anticipated. The night, the dare, the transformation, it had all led to this. I felt alive, electric, exposed yet powerful. Every fear that had clutched at my chest all evening seemed to dissolve, replaced with a thrilling liberation. And then the front door slammed open. Another knock. Or was it something else entirely? I froze. Breath caught in my throat. Mia's grip tightened. Jenna stepped closer. Mark braced himself. The sound of heavy footsteps approaching from upstairs echoed through the house. My stomach dropped. That voice, the familiar commanding tone, was unmistakable. Alex. It was my father's voice calling from a hallway above. Panic surged. Every instinct screamed to run, hide, change back, erase the evidence of the transformation. But the person in the mirror, the one I had fought to become tonight, was not about to shrink. I stood taller, heart pounding, and faced the doorway. The suspense was unbearable. Every second stretched into eternity. What would my father think? Would he understand, judge, or reject? And what about Mia, Jenna, Mark, Mrs. Donnelly? Were they allies, spectators, or witnesses to a life-altering secret about to be revealed? My pulse raced, every heartbeat loud in my ears. The reality of exposure loomed over me like a storm ready to break. I could feel the weight of all eyes on me, the tension so thick it was almost physical. Every possibility, shame, fear, exhilaration, liberation, whirled inside me in a chaotic storm. Then Mia whispered, barely audible, "Whatever happens, remember this is who you are. Own it." I swallowed hard, nodding, a shiver running down my spine. The door creaked as footsteps grew louder. Approaching closer, every muscle in my body tensed, my mind screaming, my heart pounding. And just as the shadow appeared at the top of the stairs, the screen fades too.